Hello and welcome to the Books Crypto Club weekly catch-up on Zoom. It is Sunday, the 27th of February 2022, and today we are going to be talking about whatever people want to talk about, really. These sessions depend upon who comes along. Sometimes we talk about cryptocurrencies, blockchain, DeFi, NFTs, ICOs, STOs, any other three-letter acronyms that kind of tie in, really. All comes down to we end up talking about whatever people want to talk about, whether it's novices or experts. Everyone's welcome to come along to these sessions. We hold these events every Sunday evening at 7 p.m. UK GMT, open to novices and experts alike, and we'll end up talking about whatever we talk about. Let's see who's going to come and join us today. Hello.
Hey, how are you doing?
Okay.
I just got back to Plymouth. I spent the weekend up in Wiltshire. I'm off to Barcelona for MWC early tomorrow.
Okay. Well, World Mobile Token, isn't that on ADA? Is that on the Cardano blockchain?
Yeah, it's a native asset on Cardano.
Okay.
So it's a little bit coupled, but yeah, we've done well over this last little crash.
Okay.
And we've got a couple of big exchanges coming. We've got Huobi, which is fairly big, and it's not very big. BZ or ZB, I can't remember, but it's quite big. It's a decent Asian exchange. So it's not very good in the global ranking, but it opens up a new market for us. So that's pretty cool. And yeah, I mean, the main thing is, yeah, I'm on the telco side, so I'm just learning about the whole crypto blockchain stuff as I go.
Okay. So are you involved in World Mobile Token with that then, or is that just a separate thing?
I'm one of the founders of World Mobile.
Right. Okay.
So I have like oversight on everything, but we have to be a little bit careful on the token side because obviously regulation and stuff. So we have a separate entity and a separate MD and stuff that looks after the token.
Okay.
But obviously, you know, it's so interlinked on the marketing and, you know, the token is really not dependent, but they're interdependent with the network rollout and, you know, obviously the token economy, which is super important.
Yeah. And where you say you're on the telco side, I thought the thing with World Mobile Token, isn't it rolling out, is it in Ghana or Kenya or somewhere first, somewhere in Africa? Is that right?
So we've been rolling out for a while in Zanzibar in East Africa.
Okay.
That's where we got our first license, and we've got a great little setup with the president there. So basically, it's I'll scratch your back, you scratch mine, where we're helping him deliver. You know, he's got this thing called the blue economy, which is basically fishing, anti-piracy, sustainable fishing and stuff. But there's no connectivity, so so he said, fine, you know, we'll support you for that, and we'll bring in blockchain, which is obviously all the good stuff, and we'll bring the connectivity layer, and we'll bring a bunch of vendors and some finance.
Okay.
In exchange, you kind of got to make our lives easy on the regulatory side, the spectrum, and the telco side. So we basically spent the last 6 months acquiring all of the frameworks, all the permissions. So we got permission to install our network in every single government building in the country.
Okay.
We're just hoping to score some frequency, which would be mega, and obviously we've got the permissions to do a whole bunch of stuff at the university. We're building a blockchain lab where we're putting up a big balloon there, putting up a big data center. So that's cool. And then we've got an operation in Kenya. We're just finalizing our licensing there. And that's looking really good. We have a mega deal there. I can't give any details on that, but that would be, if we claw that out of the bag, that'll be one of the biggest deals in blockchain this year.
Okay.
And then we have an entity in Nigeria as well, also going through regulatory licensing stuff. So by end of Feb, we should have so the way we go into a country, we start with an ISP license, and then we upgrade to a mobile network operator license. Mm-hmm. It just allows us to kind of come in under the radar, get licensed. And once you kind of got a license, it's a little bit trickier to give you crap or to try and block you upgrading your license.
I'm with you.
And yeah, then we did a deal. We're doing a deal with Empower in Mozambique, so we're going to put all the connectivity on all their homes. I mean, there's so much stuff going on. It's mental. I mean,
Well,
we've got over 100 people on the team, so everybody's just doing their own thing and
wow, I didn't realize it grown that quickly, that big. Because I remember talking about something with Kenya a while ago, so it sounds like not too far off. And we've got JT online as well. JT's just joined us, Fernando, who's actually put his camera on for a change, which is unusual. He's actually showing himself off.
is he?
But I think he was one of the people who originally mentioned about World Mobile Token, and it's something worth looking at as well. So
yeah, I did a while back last year, and yeah, and I was on a few calls with Mickey as well. So
The boss.
yeah, you guys, have you guys deployed across all Tanzania or still in Zanzibar only?
Just in Zanzibar, just in Zanzibar. We will, like, I lived in Tanzania for over a decade, and I'm originally from Kenya. So surprise, surprise, where we're starting. But yeah, it's, you know, Tanzania is a huge, huge, huge country, and it's very disorganized. It's a very difficult place to operate. So that's why and actually Zanzibar is even more difficult because the people are so lazy. It's a very chilled, laid back culture. But because it's two relatively small islands, but they're not so small, they're insignificant. So Unguja, the main island, pub quiz fact, you could fit every single person on earth on that island, stood shoulder to shoulder, front to back. So it's not a small island.
Wow.
So it's a country of about 1.4 million people. So, you know, it's small enough for us to control our, you know, like we've been tinkering, right? We've been figuring out how to create the processes for scale in a new telecom business model. So obviously with the regulation, you know, licensing takes time. We've been figuring out how to roll out as well. And yeah, so Zanzibar is, once we figure it out there, basically the maintenance partners and the rollout partners we use, they already have operations in mainland in Kenya. So once we've got it going there and scaling it up, it's very easy to replicate. It just takes a surprisingly long time to actually make sure we do stuff properly. Because there's a lot of bad habits in telco. You know, there's, people don't know, but you know, Helios towers, there's towers falling down and stuff, you know.
Okay.
So, and just simple things, you know, like you go to a school, you know, we're big on the schools because we want to give the internet for free for the educational purposes. And then the school is a small footprint, and we do this big Wi-Fi around the school as well. So we capture all of the tourist sites and all the streets and the shops and stuff around it. That's how we monetize it.
Okay.
And, you know, the maintenance partner, proper ISO, everything. And, you know, they're putting a nice pole with the, you know, climbing footholds on it on the top of a school, and nobody's thinking, hey, maybe we should put a sticker on it that says don't climb it. You know, it's just like that level attention to detail that, you know, that really is gonna, yeah, that's got to happen before we pull the trigger and say, okay, you know, we're placing orders for 100 sites at a time. And that's for the Wi-Fi. And of course, once we get the aerostats, you know, the big balloons, that one of those balloons will cover the whole island. So it's kind of like that. Then once we've proven that, the business model is like, okay, it's Wi-Fi handoff in high data usage areas, and then the aerostat is the large coverage, less dense for now. We're going to improve it over the years, but then you've just covered massive amounts of area. And so then you go to the mainland. You go, right, Wi-Fi the cities and towns, put the balloons up in the peripheral areas and the rural areas, and before you know it, you've covered. I mean, the tower structures, you're just laughing at like how much more people and area you've covered versus what they've done.
Sorry, Andrew, you're saying about rolling out the balloons and that kind of thing, which I guess you're using them for antenna holders?
Yeah, exactly. So it's got I think it's got a 40 kg payload, so we can chuck. So the idea is we put IoT, 2G and 4G spectrums on the balloon. Okay. So that would basically, so one IoT antenna would cover, like in Zanzibar's case, it would cover all of their exclusive economic zone out to sea. So then your fishing vessels, your commercial vessels would get tracked. So if you compare it to a project like Helium, where you have to buy their little nodes and it does a small area, you know, one aerostat would just cover just vast distances for IoT devices, which it's a huge market. It's a huge it's the future really of, like it's really important part of the internet moving forward.
Okay.
And then 2G, obviously you need, sorry mate, go ahead.
Yeah, I have a question. I never asked question to your guys before, but how do you plan to deal with when there are storms and stuff like that? Because balloons kind of going to be a problem, no?
Yeah, so these are tethered to the ground with a data and a power cable, and they can actually withstand 150 km/h winds before they have to come down. But essentially, if the wind gets too crazy, a cyclone's coming, it'll automatically come down and protect itself. And in that scenario, towers and legacy infrastructure is going to get damaged if the wind really gets that high. So what will happen is our balloon, when the wind goes below the 150 k's an hour, the balloon will go back up and it'll be the first network to go live again. And we're actually, like in the Caribbean, for example, we're getting a lot of countries coming to us and saying, hey, we'll just lease the capacity for the balloon. And it'll sit there for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years until the hurricane decimates their island. And then the first thing that goes back up is the World Mobile Balloon, and the whole island's got 4G connection while they're trying to rebuild. So there's two, one, it's very, very robust. You don't need to worry about it. And two, it provides another layer of connectivity. Even if you're not planning to use it, all the time, you can just have it parked up and waiting.
So where's the connection to the internet comes from?
It just comes from a fiber cable. Okay. So fiber cable literally goes from the ground.
Scenario, it could be also a problem. Yeah.
Sorry?
In a disaster scenario, that could be a problem as well, isn't it?
In terms of?
But I mean, the internet connection could be disrupted, yeah, but there's nothing you guys can do. That's not because of you. I get it.
No, yeah, but I mean, like somewhere like Nigeria, they have 2 internet cables for the whole country. If they both go down, you're totally screwed. And then Starlink walks in.
yeah, that's what I was going to say. Probably the best. I mean, you guys doing a deal with Starlink, that'll be amazing, yeah.
Yeah. We're talking to Starlink. It's been an ongoing joke. We're not. We're under NDA with them, but of course we're talking to them. There, we talk to everybody. But they're taking their time getting all their licensing together in Africa. They're doing things properly, like we are. So it's going to take time. But yeah, 100%. And the goal is actually to put the Starlink node on the balloon as well. So you've got a total redundancy as well. So if the fiber goes down, you can just start talking to the Starlink constellation.
Yeah, there's an automatic switch there.
Yeah. I mean, that's the beauty with us. We're not like tied to one thing. We just want to do whatever fits the scenario we're in.
And I guess that's brilliant from, as JC says, like a disaster recovery perspective. If you've got something like an earthquake or a hurricane's hit or whatever, you guys can be one of the first who are back online. But if you're hooking into Starlink as well, then that means if it has been an earthquake, which it has killed cables, you've got the connectivity and you're broadcasting again. So that's pretty impressive.
Yeah. And then so long term down the line. So the aerostat is the bottom layer. We're going to have airships at 60,000 feet. And then we're going to have stratospheric balloons above that. So we're going to have big airships cruising around. They can go about 30 kilometers an hour. The wind up there is only 15 to 20 kilometers an hour. So they actually stay stationary. Sorry, and they've got massive payload. An airship.
The winds are definitely not that speed or that high. So.
Once you go higher than commercial aviation, the winds calm down.
Okay.
So there's a layer.
That's above the stratosphere then.
Yeah. So these guys sit really, really high up, and they just basically sit stationary with a motor on it, so they can control their position.
Yep.
And then we've also got smaller balloons that they can kind of control their altitude, and they float in figure of eights. They don't have motors. They just control the altitude, which can help them kind of figure out their direction.
Yeah, height is right, as they say in ballooning.
Yeah, I'm not the balloon guy. We got a team on that, and you saw we got that guy James Tagg. He like invented the touch screen, and he's doing some stuff with quantum computer that just fries your brain.
Okay.
So they figure all that out, and imagine, so even in Tonga, the satellites would have trouble getting through the thick cloud, but if we have the combination of the aerostat going up to the airship, going up to the satellite, then all of a sudden you've also got more options than just satellite to the ground. You've got like a bit of a daisy chain. So we'll see, man. It's going to be it's a long journey. You know, this thing's not going to happen overnight. But yeah, we've tested it in the States, and it's looking really good.
Cool. Are you going to be presenting this at Barcelona this week?
No, it's all under wraps. So okay. What'll happen is that first balloon. You see, that's the other thing. Supply chain of these balloons is quite tight. So we've basically blocked the entire global supply chain of these balloons. And so, yeah, we're going to be deploying the first one in Zanzibar. Like it'll be ready June, July. So we've got to get it out there. We've got to get it working as an MVP. So that will be targeting the spectrum to maybe a few hundred people at a time, you know, rolling around in a circle before we get up to the 100,000 user sort of everybody downloading mass YouTube sort of thing. That's the first step. And then, yeah, once we validate it, we're just literally going to order hundreds of these things.
Super. So how does that all link with the telco side of things and the cable with the actual token side of things, or is that something you're not involved in?
I'm not involved per se. I mean, so basically the original idea was that the air nodes, so that's your connectivity layer. So that could be a Wi-Fi hotspot. It could also be the aerostat itself, because the aerostat, the device is connecting to directly. So originally in the tokenomics, we thought, well, let's, you know, the idea is to reward those people in tokens, just like helium does. But because of regulation in a lot of countries, you know, crypto is not allowed yet. So we made the decision, okay, that layer, let's just stick to cash. And we'll go, okay, you know, you invest in that infrastructure, we'll give you a cut of the traffic and you earn cold hard cash. Now, in so where the token comes in at the moment is the Earth node layer. That's your transactional layer. So imagine your Bitcoin miner, or you're staking your ADA into your staking pool. That's exactly the same thing. You lock up 100,000 WMTs and you get rewarded for running the Earth node. All the transactions go over that, and you get rewarded in your, you know, it's a standard, it's same like ADA or whatever. Okay. But where it's going to get really interesting is when extra rewards get given when real traffic gets transferred over those Earth nodes. Because if you have a big city like Dar es Salaam, it's one of the fastest growing cities in the world, 5 million people right now. If you have a couple of those airships and your Earth nodes right there, you're going to have tens or hundreds of millions of dollars going through your node. And now all of a sudden, it's not just I'm earning a couple of % or whatever APY. You're going to be earning, because of our shared economy model, you're going to be earning a cut of all the traffic that goes through it. So, you know, not only will these tokens be attractive, but the Earth nodes themselves are going to be worth a bomb, because people are going to want, geez, that Earth node has got $100 million going through it in a couple of years. So there's going to be it's going to be an appetite just to have it.
Okay.
So yeah, and it'll evolve over time. We're also looking at there's a crowd, I forget the name now. I know the guy from Zanzibar, Peter Cheek. It's basically like that transactional validation over like a smartphone can do it. Like, so it's totally decentralized. But again, it's, you know, it's not in our tokenomics right now, but that would be really, really smart.
Okay.
So
it sounds like for people who are broadly interested in this space, a massive opportunity there. That's really good.
If we get it right, yeah. If we mess it up, no. But you know, like the team is just so well experienced in this, and like I said, we've got 100 people now, over 100 people. Okay. We just got, well, we've been members of the International Telecom Union for a while. We just got our GSMA membership the other day. So, and yeah, like I said at the beginning when I joined, we've got something mega lined up in Kenya. So if we just get that, I mean, anybody with a token is, I mean, I'm not allowed to shill the token. So yeah,
sure. Yeah. But it's interesting as well. You're saying at the beginning how the route to market kind of thing is to go after the ISP license and then the MVNO capability kind of thing. So you're building it through the telco route, which makes sense. I guess, was that the way BitPesa tried it a few years ago when they were looking at some stuff?
BitPesa, yeah, BitPesa, poor guys. they're backing a new exchange that's coming up in Africa. So basically, yeah, they were basically doing crypto payments in Kenya. They'd started disrupting our friendly incumbent SafariCom, who are even more powerful than the president in Kenya. So, so there's more questions to be asked about that later. But yeah, so basically, SafariCom, they were going through an intermediary company to do the aggregation, and SafariCom were pissed off about how much business they were taking away from M-Pesa. So they basically blackmailed the middleman integrator and said, look, if you don't stop processing BitPesa's payments within the next, I think it was like 8 hours or something, they said, we're gonna cancel your contract with M-Pesa.
Okay.
So BitPesa are now taking M-Pesa to court for that, and also the intermediary was taking someone else to court. But yeah, nightmare. So if you go to Kenya, you've got to think of a way that actually makes SafariCom money, and you've got to go in fairly quietly. So yeah, so there's lots of there's a lot of Trojan horses going on in Kenya right now to take on that company, because they actually, about 70% of the entire GDP goes through it. So if their servers go down, even for an hour, that country is totally stuffed.
Okay.
President knows it, everybody knows it, and they can't do anything about it.
It's not a good situation to be in for the economy, is it? Definitely. Okay.
It's great if you're a shareholder of M-Pesa, though.
Well, yeah. Yeah. There's always two sides to a story, isn't there?
But yeah, they are, yeah, and they're not that bothered about internet connectivity and so the way we're going to do it is, we're going into the rural areas. So in Kenya, we're going to start up in Turkana, which is basically like a semi-desert area. And it just, there's no economic feasibility for towers, but an aerostat makes a lot of sense. So we're just going to offer people like SafariCom the best offloading and the best roaming rates they've ever seen. They're going to be laughing at us. Look at these idiots. And because we're 12 times cheaper than towers, we'll still make money, and they'll be happy, we'll be happy. And actually, so our trick is obviously transactions and users on the network, because we want those transactions over the Earth nodes and the air nodes. So a SafariCom customer on one of our roaming on our aerostats is actually going on the world mobile chain. So not only do we have a B2C play, we've got a massive B2B play as well, where, one large commercial deal in, say, 500 square kilometers of area, we can get very easily hundreds of thousands of users on our chain.
Wow. Okay. So quite considerable growth opportunity there.
Well, it is, and it's a cool project, and the stupid thing is the connectivity is the most boring layer out of the whole thing. So if you talk to mPower, look what those guys are doing. They've figured out a way, or they think they've figured out a way to innovatively finance homes for poor people in Africa. That's a really cool project. But, my experience in Tanzania and Kenya, I was doing distributed renewable energy. In the village level, I was also doing bespoke, hybrid systems for embassies and hospitals and stuff. And I did telecom towers. That's how I made all my money. But my passion was this distributed energy in the farmer's house. And we did, 4,000 systems or something, and it went really well. And one of the tricks was, we're giving them 4 lights, a radio, and a phone charger, because the guy on average had to walk 3.5 kilometers to charge his phone. So white guy walks into the room. I'm super clever. You don't have to walk to charge your phone now. Brilliant, right? Mm-hmm. Guess what? They still have to walk 3.5 Ks to use the phone, because there's no reception at the house.
Yep.
So when Mickey called me, I lived with Mickey at uni. He called me and said, "How do I power this Wi-Fi system in the village?" And I laughed at him because it's so easy. And then basically my mind I had the eureka moment. I was like, whoa, like if I had internet for those 4,000 homes, that project, instead of being a few $100,000 passion project, it could have turned into tens and 20s of millions of dollars of a business, because once you've captured that home and that user, once you've got them on the ladder, all of the other, that's why our strapline is opening a new world, because, internet, fundamentally boring. All the other cool stuff you can do on the internet, now you've unlocked everything.
Yeah, it's a bit like putting a railway line, isn't it? That you put in place the infrastructure that allows other people to then put trains on, which then means you can carry cargo and people, and that's where the money is, type thing. Yeah.
But trains are pretty cool though. I love trains. I love engineering. Proper lad.
Okay, well that's good. Well, thanks for sharing that. It's really interesting.
What's the plan to exit to MPesa?
To exit into what?
MPesa.
M-Pesa.
Yeah.
So we'll integrate with M-Pesa. So we'll have an API where so there's a couple of cool little tricks, neat tricks in Kenya. So obviously, if we have an API with M-Pesa, any money going in and out, they're making money. They're going cha-ching, which is what they want. There's also a little loophole for some industries where if crypto is part of the payment, I mean, like gambling is one example. You don't pay gambling tax if your payout is in crypto. So the idea is just to integrate. Like we as a carrier, we're not going to have many users because we're a new carrier. B2C takes a long time to build up, very much a hockey stick scenario. So really, we have to integrate and be part of that M-Pesa system for a long time in order to make a big splash and to take market share. And by the way, M-Pesa is like 98% market share in Kenya. So it is very, very dominant, extremely strong, but it's also ripe for disruption. So, and yeah, we're not in a rush because like I said, our mission is to go connect the unconnected first. And then once we've got those users and we've given them an irresistible product, which is fast internet at a very, very cheap price, then you've got them on the hook and you can, throughout all of our partners, so the M-Powers with, the 1 Acre funds, all these guys doing cool stuff that would do better with connectivity, that's all of a sudden where, these value added services come in. And we start, we'll obviously be cheaper than M-Pesa at some point. So that's when we'll start disrupting.
Or exit and go do something else fun again.
You've met Mickey, dude. You think Mickey would be doing this if we're not going after 50 billion market cap? What's SafariCom going to offer us?
I was joking, but I know you wouldn't. Yeah.
But yeah. No, it's something to consider.
Money talks, right? So you never know. So,
yeah, but I mean, we've already got a market cap of. This is the whole point of doing crypto. I mean, who our shareholder is. We've already had offers, and we just laugh at them because we know in a couple of years, with 10 aerostats and easily approaching 5-10 million users. What's our market cap going to be then? Like, what's Ethereum got as a user base, even?
I think Ethereum, it's difficult to work out though, isn't it? Because, I mean, on what they raised originally and what they're now doing, it's a platform which you don't even realize you're using most of the time though. So I'm
just getting some water.
Yeah. Well, probably is it as well to close off on the conversation on worldwide mobile token for now. That was really, really interesting. Thank you for sharing that.
I had no intention of coming on the chair. The thing, by the way, I wanted to actually get an update on the marketing, what people are thinking.
Well, I was going to say, we'll flip it onto that in a moment, but it's really appreciated because it's the first time I've had the whole platform explained through in some way, and it's quite fascinating. So I'll look forward to listening to that again on the recording, to be honest.
You remember when I mentioned last year, Gary, they were raising them?
Yep.
So I was advisor of World Mobile, and I said to everyone at the time, everyone I knew, even in Dubai, when I met you guys, there, were you guys raising at that time, I spread to everyone, and I still think that is probably one of the core projects that we'll see in crypto, because it actually solves a real problem. It's an infrastructure project. It's not like, there's lots of DeFi, there's lots of metaverses and stuff. This actually makes a difference, a big difference,
Yep.
Yeah. And I mean, the whole point of Africa is, how much does it cost to get a user on a mobile network in America or Europe? It's going to cost you $100. But if we go to a village, we strap up a solar powered node and we go, here you go, there's affordable internet. It's between 50 and 60% cheaper than what you pay for your data bundle. You're going to get users. And we're going to be giving the value-added service marketplace, you know, the internet for that's going to be free. So if you're a farmer, you can't even afford to download YouTube, you're still going to be able to say, hey, I need to buy farming inputs, or hey, I've got coffee, I need to sell it. So that's going to be free. So, you know, all of a sudden, you know, if we're spending $5,000 on a village node, you're talking about 300, 400 users. So 600, 700 person village, maybe, you know, half of those people have phones. You've got that captive audience, and you've paid nothing to market them to connect to you. You've literally just rolled into the village. Obviously, we're not. There's a sensitivity to how you do that. You can't just roll into a village, go, what's up? You know, we're mobile. You have to go with people. You have to go become part of the community. There's you know, we've seen people not do that, and this is where the shared economy comes in that, you know, we're not coming in and saying, hey, connect to World Mobile. We're saying, we're going to the local shop and saying, hey, how would you like to earn 10% of the revenue? Look after our kit, you know, put more solar panels on it. Or, I mean, in 3 years, 4 years time, we're expecting the to be pull in the market, and the shop owners are actually going to come to the town, call us up and say, hey, come to my village in this place, I'll pay you the $5,000. That's the golden goose. That's the end goal. And before you know it, you know, doesn't take much time to be rolling these out, and you've got 300 users here, 300 users there, and in Tanzania alone, we can do, when we're fully going with our maintenance partners, we can do 600 villages a month installations.
Wow!
And then you've got the Aerostat, which is, again, it's doing the B2B play, and you're going to be capturing broad, like 75 square kilometers of 4G, further with 2G, which is your USSD, and even further with IoT. So talk about, it's like I said, it's all about users, getting the users.
Sounds like a great growth plan. And so, as you're saying earlier on, as long as you do it right, it's a massive opportunity. And it sounds like you've got the right people in the right place, doing the right thing. So hopefully getting it right should work out. But there's always a risk with anything, isn't there?
And that's why we're in 3 countries. So if SafariCom do try to go after us, then we still got Nigeria and Zanzibar and vice versa. You know, Nigeria is a very scary market, but we're actually I'm amazingly surprised at how welcoming they are to what we're doing.
Okay.
Because again, you know, Starlink, they're not popular in that part of the world because the MNOs think they're going after their business, which is ridiculous. We come in and say, hey, we're going to put up a few air nodes in villages, and we're going to bring the balloons to the villages. The regulator's job is to connect the unconnected. He has to charge the MNOs to acquire money to do that, and fundamentally the users pay for it. We're coming in and we're saying, hey, we're going to pay for it, we're going to do it. Like, what regulator wouldn't give us a license, would give us any crap? So this is Mickey is a very, very clever guy, and he's thought about this for the last 15 years, and he's amassed an army. That was always his thing. Like before we were fundraising, he was like, I'm going to amass an army of amazing, awesome people who just believe in the mission. And that's exactly what he did.
We'll see where it goes over the next couple of years then. We'll definitely want to keep an eye on and watch out for.
Oh, it's going to be so much noise. We're going to be pumping the network data that we've already got onto the blockchain sometime in March, before the end of March. So even with the 22, 25 sites we've got in Zanzibar so far, that's already a lot of data and a lot of users. So, and then we've got new websites, we've got all sorts of stuff coming. So end of March is going to be very, very cool. Should get a bit more exposure for what we're doing.
So I was going to say, so that's all running on the Cardano blockchain, isn't it? So are we going to see an uplift on the utilization on that, do you think? In terms of transaction volumes and that?
It's a good question. I don't know whether it, like, maybe, that's a bit technical because we're not on mainnet yet. And there's a long way to go. And Cardano, they're going to sort out the scalability stuff by middle of the year-ish. So we'll see. You know, everybody knows IO is a bit slow on stuff.
Because that is good that is a good point. And I think I had queried that a while ago when JT had mentioned it. I think Sam mentioned it a few weeks back as well, that you're not on mainnet yet, which means it is technically kind of still of a test phase.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's no criticism around that. If I prefer things that actually take the time testing and prove it and get the scaling and performance and everything right, rather than just going, oh yeah, let's go for it. Let's load it onto our live production platform, let people buy the tokens, and then it all seizes up and doesn't work. So,
well, you saw that happen with Sunday Swap.
this is it. And and then you get people who are the founders who just go, yeah, I don't really know what I'm doing, I'll walk away from it, which is, it's not a good thing either. So it's good to see a more conditioned, sensible, thoughtful process around it. Okay, chaps, it looks like we've ended up running out of time. It's nearly on the hour. I'll try and run these so that we finish at 8 o'clock UK time. So I was going to close off really. We didn't get a chance to talk about the markets, but then
that's all right. I'll try and come in next week.
Yeah, be good, because the markets have been surprisingly settled given how much uncertainty there is in the world at the moment. They've been bouncing around a little bit, but nothing too unpredictable. So yeah, we'll definitely pick up on that next time if you come and join us again. So I was going to say thanks very much for coming along today. Thank you for sharing what you did on that. JT as well, thanks for the original hints. I think that you're suggesting that this was definitely a thing to watch out for. And hopefully see you or hear from you both again next week. Have a great one.
Yep.
Yeah,
Cheers.
no, thanks,
Cheers,
mate.
guys.
Thanks for organising.
Hopefully we'll still be all ear,
Yeah, that'll be good.
Oh,
all right,
God.
Have a good one then, guys. Cheers, bye now.
Bye.
Cool. Cheers. Have a good Sunday night. Ciao.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye now. So thank you all for joining us today. Ended up talking all about World Mobile Token and what it's doing in terms of mobile telephony, giving access to people who didn't previously have connectivity to the internet. That paves the way for so many things in terms of general internet access, which improves things like education and learning what's going on around the world, but also payments, communications, and all. So that sounds like quite an amazing project, and I hope that you found that of interest. Don't forget, if you don't subscribe to the channel at the moment, please do click on the subscribe, click on the like button, make comments. Even better, come along to a future session. We hold these every Sunday, 7 p.m. UK time. Everyone's welcome to come and join, novice and expert alike. So if you want to come and learn about things and ask questions, please do. If you want to come along and tell us about a project that you're working on, then you're more than welcome to do that as well. So until next time, don't forget, do subscribe, do like, and come along to a future meeting. Have a great day. Bye now.